Well, welcome back to Life on Cars, and in today's episode we're going to be going through removing the headlamps on the Jaguar XK and going through the bulb changes, including the HID bulb. So come on, let's get into it to see what we're doing. Part of today's project is to replace the HID headlamp bulbs in the Jaguar XK, and these are the bulbs that are responsible for the dipped and the main beam on the vehicle. And while we've got the headlamp off, we can have a look at the other bulbs as well and just do some general checks. But it's well known in the motor trade that these HID bulbs can fade over time. And it could be that my car still has the original bulbs fitted. So these, they're not a huge amount of money. These cost me £25 for the pair from a British company called Lunex. And I've gone for the standard bulbs, which is 4000K brightness or 4000K temperature colour. Doing a bit of research, it would appear that those are the ones that are going to give the best amount of light onto the road. You can get a higher temperature bulb or a higher K rating, 6000K for example, and what that does, that shifts the light to more of a bluey colour, but that is less effective on the road. So I've gone for standard light intensity with these, but I'm hoping that by fitting these new bulbs we will see a difference from the headlamps power. So let's have a closer look at these. So a little bit of a close-up for the box for you there. So Xenon, which is the gas Lunex. This is model number 91000. It's a D1S colour match, which means it should be matching the OEM colour. And as you can see there, 4300K is the rating for the bulb. And there's just some facts and figures on there. But yeah, this is a British company. I did a bit of research, and lunextechnology.co.uk, and apparently these get good reviews. So what does a HID bulb look like then? So let's have a little look. I'm just checking which end I've got because I don't want to touch the glass. So just pop. One of the things about HIDs is they do use high voltage to get them to light, because basically they strike an arc between, so there's basically two electrodes in there, or two filaments, and basically the electricity jumps across, and that jumping creates an arc which is in the middle of that bubble there. And that's what gives you the brightness. But to get that electricity to jump across there, it needs quite a high voltage. So you'll see lots of high voltage warnings. It says 85 volts there on the bottom. And there'll be a pack on the back of the headlamp which boosts the battery voltage up to make these work. So that's what the unit looks like. So I'll just put the protective covering back on there, pop that back in the box for now, and we'll go and get the headlamp off the vehicle. So step one, guys, we're going to just mask off the top edge of that wing, just for a bit of protection, because when we bring in the headlight out and then back in again, it does sometimes need a bit of wangling, so we just want to make sure that we don't catch the paint when we're doing that. So, and again, we can be cautious and just Just pop some in along the edge of the bumper as well. Better safe than sorry and all that. We don't want to scratch the paint unnecessarily. Right, so that's the edges protected. So what we need to do now is to start releasing the headlamp out. You'll notice that I've got the wheel turned in, and that's because we need to get access to a bolt. One bolt, which is 10mm, and you can see it just up there, so it's not too bad to get to be honest when the wheel's turned out. So we're going to take that out, and what you might find with this bolt is it should, he says, come out without any bother, because it's quite well protected from corrosion behind the light, so in theory the thread should be okay. And this one seems to be coming out canny. So let's see if we can get that all the way out. There we are. Little 10mm bolt from behind the wheel latch. Next, you're looking for this bolt here. So this is the top of the headlight, and there is another 10mm bolt just to the right of the bonnet hinge. So we're working on the right headlamp first of all. There we are, that's that one out. You can see I've been in here before. I was in here when I first got in the car, and I'll tell you about that story in a minute. And I put a bit of grease on the threads, as you've seen me do in previous videos. It's always a good idea to grease bolts up before you put them back. So that's that one out, so that's two bolts out. Next we are going to release this headlamp washer connector by lifting that tab up. I might need a little screwdriver to do that. So there we are. So you're better off actually taking that right off. It's just a little clip so you don't lose it. Put that to one side, and then what will happen is the pipe will come off this way. You can just see it going there. Look, I'm just pushing it with a screwdriver so you can see. Now you will get a bit of water, it's nothing to worry about. There we are, that's separated off now. That will come with the headlight when we extract the headlight. Next, while we're here, we have another bolt this one, this needs to come out as well. So right next to the headlamp, washer pipe, we take that bolt out. There we are. So that's so far 3 bolts and the washer pipe disconnected. Next, you're going to be looking at this here, which is going to lift up like that. It's just a little locating tab, and then we're going to start to extract the headlight forward out of the vehicle. And as that happens, you'll notice that it starts to catch a little bit, so you need to swing this end out the front just a little bit, very gently. And now at this point we're going to stop. This is as far as I've gone so far. You can see why I put some tape on, because we've got sharp edges that can catch the paintwork, so it's a good idea to have that tape on. So it's moved quite a way forward, and now that it's moved forward we can see the electrical connector, which is that fella there with the wires coming out of it. So we're going to reach down now, and there's a tab underneath, so you're going to press that tab that's underneath up over, and then carefully pull that connector back like that. See the tab there, look, that you press, you pull that off, you can just let that park there like that. Now the headlight is ready to be completely removed. So we just need to be careful when we bring it past the edge of the wing there. So it sort of comes out with the front pointing a little bit to the left, and then it comes straight out. So there we are. There's the headlamp out of the vehicle. And we're left with a big gaping hole. And interestingly, you can see some various components which we'll talk about before we put the headlamp back in. So I brought the headlamp into the kitchen just so we can get a better look at what we're dealing with here. So there's a couple of things I wanted to point out first. I've just changed these two orange. There's the orange indicator, and then there's a orange marker light, and I've just changed those while the headlamp's out, because I've noticed that the orange covering was starting to come off, and what I didn't want to happen was for that orange covering on that bulb to fall inside the headlight. And I've just basically got it changed in time. I'll put a picture up of the old bulb in a minute, but basically they're quite easy to do, and it's probably worth doing while you've got the headlamp out, is to change the other bulbs. They're just basically, you just basically unscrew, and then you can get to the bulbs. And like I say, what you tend to find sometimes is the orange covering over a period of time starts to, it's basically like a paint, and it starts to, with the heat, starts to flake off, and you don't want that ending up inside the headlight. So it's a good idea to change these while you've got the whole thing in bits. Same for the side light. So the side light, you just basically counterclockwise extract, and there's your side light bulb that you can basically pop out. It's called a capless bulb, so it just pulls out and you can push a new one in, and then you can just pop that back into the headlight. Just get that back in. There we are, like that. Just give it a tug when you put it in, just to make sure it's. But you can see anyway, because if they're in right, because you can spin it round and then have a look to see if the bulbs look like they're in the right place. So the HID bulb is in here. That's the one we're going to change in a minute. There is another bulb, which is the cornering bulb, which is this one that you can see at the back there. And again, you may want to get a new one of those while you're at it and change that. I've checked mine and it doesn't look too bad, to be honest. The way you get to that is through here. So you can take that cover off and then you can get into the cornering bulb there. While this cover's off as well, there's another bulb, which is a side light bulb, a clear one, which we can just see. If we spin that around again, can you just see it just in the corner there? There's a little side light bulb. Yeah, that's a better. There. And again, it's a bit awkward to get to that one. So it might be one that you might want to consider replacing while you've got the headlamp up, because it's actually up inside there and it just pulls out. Just make out the connector there. So this is the cornering bulb, and then can you just see up there? That's the side light bulb. So you just basically pull that out and then it will come out. I'm not going to pull mine out because I've already had it out and changed the bulb. So just showing you where it is. So right, let's get into the HID bulb then. Just before we start, there's the power pack, look, on the bottom of the unit. So that's the power pack that's powering up the headlamp, the HID. So, and there's your connector, look, so just be careful that you don't knock any of those terminals. So first of all, we're going to anti-clockwise take that off, and now we can actually see into the back of the headlamp. So let's get on to the main event then. So what we need to do is we need to turn this anti-clockwise. So we get hold of it and gently turn the unit, and you'll hear it click, and then you should be able to extract. This is the cable here that goes onto the lamp, so we just need to carefully bring that out like that, and then we can see our old headlamp in there. Now it does have this ring, this plastic ring on it, which we need to remove because we need to reuse that, and obviously we need to release this lock-in clip here so we can disconnect the connector from the lamp. So if I remember rightly, you just squeeze this. You can see there it pops a little tab out if you just squeeze it and then give it a bit of a pull. Like that. And then that comes off. Let's set that down. Right, we need to look at this plastic ring now. So as usual, before I do anything else, I always like to just compare the two, put them side by side, make sure that they're the same diameter, the height of the glass is the same before I transfer this clip over. Also, it's good to note the positioning of this plastic clip as well before we swap it over. So this original one is actually a Philips Zen Start. I might Google that and see, could that be the original bulb? I don't know. But yeah, it'd be interesting to Google that and just see if they're still made even. So right, let's have a look at this plastic ring then. So it's got some sort of release on the side here. So let's just see how that works. So what it does is you press that tab down and then it actually goes this way. I'm just going to move that bulb slightly further out of the way while I do this so I don't want to knock it off the table. So can you see what I've done there? I've just pressed that down and then that slides out. Like that. It's like a little door that opens. And then we can just take that off from underneath that slot. Now to help you line them up, there's a little cutout there. Just in the, you see that little cutout? And that aligns with that little peg on the end of there. So that should be fairly easy. So let's take our new bulb. Just pop that. See that little peg there? Goes in that little hole. And then there's a bigger peg there. Can you see those two pegs? That one goes in. Let's bring you in a bit closer. Peg here. And then a bigger peg there. And then that's in the right place. And then we should be able to shut this back around. And click. And that's it. So that's the plastic locking mechanism transferred onto the new bulb. So now all we've got to do is get the connector back on. Like that. And then if you remember, the connector was on the bottom. So this cable sort of comes round in like a spiral arc. So we're going to do this. Pop that into the hole in the back of the headlight. Like that. And I'm just letting it feel my way in there. I can just feel it's gone in. So I'm going to turn it clockwise until it stops. And that's it, we're in. So that cable sort of comes round like that and then goes onto the connector at the bottom. So that's one done. So all we've got to do now is pop the covers back on. Like that. And I'll just pop this side cover back on and I'm showing you the side lamp bulb. That's it. So what else to note then? So while you've got this off, the other thing you may want to do is clean around the bottom of your lenses if they're really dirty. Bonus footage time, guys. Bonus footage coming in. So as you know, I do like to teach you guys something. So while the headlight's out, a couple of things to point out down here. Have a close look at the box section here. This fella, for any signs of accident damage. You can also have a look at the inside of your bumper and just see if there's any signs of previous accident damage. Happy to report on this, everything is as straight as a die, as you can see, and there's nothing untoward. Everything looks like it's clipped into place. All the cables are routed correctly. Now what the hell is this fella here? So I believe that what this does is, it's known as a secondary air injection pump. And I believe what it does is when you put the ignition on and the car is cold this will power up for about a minute, and it will pump air into the exhaust manifolds to help the rich mixture to combust, and it reduces basically the emissions, and it helps the catalysts to start working a lot faster. And I think it was part of the Euro 4 emissions standards. So there you go, a bit of bonus information for you. There is your secondary air injection pump. Right, let's get this headlamp back in. So refitting, we're just going to take our time, and we're going to carefully, remember I swung the front of the headlamp out to get it to come out. So I'm going to basically reinstall it with the kind of the opposite orientation, just to that point there. Just watch that you don't trap the feed for the washer jet. Tends to try and get itself trapped, which mine's making a good effort of doing. So just make sure that's where it needs to be. It's got itself caught around the back of the bracket. Annoyingly, come out. There we are, it's coming. Just keep an eye on it, because it needs to be the other side of the bracket. So I'm not going all the way back in yet, because remember, I need to put my hand down the back at this point and reconnect the electrical connector. That's it. Because when the headlamp's all the way in, the headlamp connection is partially hidden. So all I'm doing now is I'm bringing this back in to where it needs to be, and I'm just watching. Let's bring you in a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. So there's the pipe there that had got itself trapped. It was round there when it needs to be this side, not poking up there. So just watch out for that. And then the other thing I'm doing is I'm just bringing this back in to where I can see that the bolt holes are lining up. And at that point there, I'm going to just see if this little locating peg has gone in, which it has. And I can see the bolt holes have lined up. So I can now start to, in reverse order, start putting everything back together. Let's start off with the front bolt. So a bit of grease on, and start that by your hand, just so that you know it's going in. I can feel that going onto the threads. Alright, so now I know that that one's started. I'm going to run them all in. It's nipped. Nipped. And this front one here. Nipped. Not forgetting to recouple our little hose there. So you just basically push it over, and then you take your little clip, and that just simply pushes over like that. and give it a tug just to make sure that it's not going to come off. That's the pipe that feeds the washer spray, headlamp spray should I say. So before I remove the tape, obviously you need to check that everything's working. So there's our orange, I'm on the side lights now, so I've got the orange side light here, and I've got that hidden one that's up inside the headlamp at the back there. You can see that one's working. So now I'm going to test the HID bulb. Well guys, I don't know if you can see that, but the one on our left, which is the one I've just replaced, and it's not the camera playing tricks that, because I can see that visually, the one on the left is a lot brighter than the one on the right, a much whiter, shall we say. It's a bit hard to pick up, but that's the new one. And that's the old one. It's kind of clearer if I stand there like that. I don't know if you can see, but there's definitely a bit more of an intensity to the new one, just in the daylight here in the garage. And there's a different colour temperature going on. It even looks brighter on the wall there. I have to better crack on and get the other one done. Well guys, that's both of them changed. As you can see there, the colour temperature now is identical. So there's the two old ones. Turns out they were a matching pair, so they're both Philips ZenStart. Now my gut feeling is these are not the original ones, so at some point in its life I think it has had a pair of new HID bulbs, but how long ago that was I've no idea. There's nothing in the service history, and I think judging by the video there you'll probably agree it looks like these the new ones are going to give us a bit more brightness. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed that video and you got something out of it. It might give you inspiration to have a go at changing your HID bulbs yourselves. And if you did like it, give us a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please give us a subscribe. That would be great. Keeps the channel, or keeps me enthused to keep going with the content. And just want to say thanks to everybody who keeps putting positive comments out there for the videos. I really do appreciate it. And I think we'll finish off this video by doing a short road test out in the dark, and we'll see what those bulbs look like. But in the meantime, take care and stay safe out there, guys. Well, certainly see an improvement. They're a lovely crisp white light, and go for main. Yeah, I'm quite impressed with that as well. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's a massive improvement, but there is definitely a improvement from the bulbs that I took out. I think I've just got a little bit more throw on dip, and main beam is definitely looking a lot better as well, so worth doing, I think. Thanks for watching.